Okay, this is going to be the final shiur for the season on Nefesh Hachaim. It's actually shiur number 281 on the Nefesh Hachaim, which started in 2016. So with a break in the middle where we did Tomer Dvara a couple of times. So and Kehillas Shivtei. But in the meantime, we kept coming back to the Nefesh Hachaim, and we're in shiur 281 today. And the Etz Chaim, I just want to remind everybody about the Lava Malka that we're making, which will be a siyum of the Nefesh Hachaim on Motzei Shabbos. And everybody who could come, please come. It'll be a big simcha for me to see you, and a big simcha for you to be there with divrei Torah and live music and fleishiks. Be a beautiful thing. I just try to make your schedule work that you can come. It's at 8:30 on Motzei Shabbos.
8:15.
8:15. Well, it's going to be a lot of people coming at 8:30. Let's see.
That's all right. The flesh will still be hot.
Okay. We are in Perek Lamed Gimel. Let me just adjust this here for a minute. We are in Perek Lamed Gimel, halfway through. We should be in Perek Lamed Daled, but we're not. I do want to take the opportunity to spend some time on this Yesod, very big Yesod that appears over here in Perek Lamed Gimel. But let's first see the words inside. After he's talking about for the last number of prakim about what happens when you learn Torah, and basically what's taking place is it's not just gathering information or working out the brain or something like that. It's the way Hashem created the Bria is with an Or Ein Sof, and this Or permeates through the world, through the Arboi Lamas, through the Zion Spheros, comes into this world, and the world that we know, the world of Asiya, and Araisa v'kuchabrichu chadhu, and which, if you look in the Zohar inside, it doesn't say that. That's how the song goes, but it doesn't say chadhu, but miskashrin da b'da. In other words, you start off with Hashem, goes into this Or Ein Sof, and comes into the world, and then the Torah is the way that the Or comes into the world. So by learning Torah, what we're doing is we are taking in the Or of the Bria, and then we become the light of the Torah. And that's only through learning Torah. You're not going to get this, the Nefesh Hachaim tells us, through doing mitzvahs. You get other things from doing mitzvahs, but you're not going to get this from fasting on Yom Kippur or on Tisha B'Av or whatever you're doing. Those are all things we have to do. But the Or, getting the Or into us, that we become a part of the Bria. Like, in other words, it's just like everything was created with the Or Ein Sof, the planets, the trees, the animals. So we were created with the Or Ein Sof, but we can take the Or Ein Sof within ourselves and become B'Tselem Elokim Mamish. That's what we learned. So here the Nefesh Hachaim says, Ulazais, do you have it there? V'lazais nitztavenu ba'azhara naira mipiv yisparach. And here we have a command, unbelievable command, Hazhara naira mipiv yisparach, a famous command, La yamush sefer haTorah hazeh mipicha v'higisa by yomam v'layla. And here Hashem said to who? To Yoshua bin Nun, La yamush sefer haTorah hazeh mipicha. Don't stop talking about Torah. V'higisa by, and delve into it, yomam v'layla. And that's, by the way, the mitzvah of Talmud Torah comes from this pasuk. The Zohar says, I'm reading it in Hebrew, look how strong Torah is, and how much it's elevated over everything else. This is the Hebrew translation of the Zohar. V'im hu sar ay nifrad mimena, and if one separates themselves from this, tarehu ki'ilu nifrad me Etz Chaim. You're being nifrad from the Etz Chaim. So let me just ask this question. Being that Limud Torah seems to be the most important mitzvah, Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, so why do I have to wait all the way until Yeshua bin Nun to find out that there's a mitzvah Talmud Torah? It should be one of the 10 commandments, no? Like everything is based on bringing this or into the world. So if that's our purpose in life, to bring the or into the world, and the only way you can get that is by Limud Torah. So Hashem says this to Yoshua. I didn't even say to Moshe Rabbeinu. This should have come right straight with the Luchos.
Could you say that something changed in Klal Yisrael, and that previously it was Mimela or obvious, and then after Moshe Rabbeinu dies, it's not so boror?
Okay, so let's get clear. The last words of the Zohar here is v'is adei oisparish minei. If you leave it or separate yourself from the Torah, ki'ilu ispresh me'ilana dechaya. You're being parish from the Etz Chaim. Now that sounds poetic, but what does that mean to be parish from the Etz Chaim? What is the Etz Chaim? Ki'ilu nifrad me'etz Chaim. And by the way, I'm not making a diuk. The whole rest of the parak is talking about the Etz Chaim. He talks about Etz Chaim hilama chazikim ba. That we all know that pasuk Mishlei Etz Chaim hilama chazikim ba. Samchel ma'ushar. Etz Chaim. So I just want to explain this. Forgive me if it's obvious, but I think we don't think about it enough. Because everybody always, when we learn Bereshis, everybody, all the discussion in the Chumash is about the Eitz Hadas. It's all about the Eitz Hadas Tov V'Ra, and that's where the story of humanity begins. We're in Gan Eden, we ate from the Eitz Hadas. The Nachash made us eat from the Eitz Hadas. Satan, because of that, we were evicted from Gan Eden and cursed with Kotz V'Dardar, Tatzmiach Lach, etc. Golus, hard work, toiling the fields. We're not in Gan Eden anymore. The Etz Chaim, which is another tree that grew in the garden, doesn't get a lot of press here in our learning, in our Jewish life. So I just want to take a look. If you have a Chumash, Bereshis, so just like look with me for a minute. And if you don't, the Etz Chaim, when Hashem created Gan Eden, so there's the Ma'aseh Bereshis, and then the Torah says, let's get the story correct here. Torah says the following. Sheni of Bereshis, Eila told the Shemayim va'aretz, and Hashem explained. The Chumash explains what went on over here. Vayitzer Hashem Elokim es ha'adam, offer min ha'adama. Hashem created man. Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim, and he blew into him the neshama of life. Vayi adam lenefesh chayim, and man is alive, wakes up in this garden. Vayita Hashem Elokim gan be'eden mikedem, and Hashem planted a garden. Vayasam sham es ha'adam asher yotzar. He took the man who was created, presumably not in Gan Eden. He took this man that he just animated, and he put him in Gan Eden. Could be Chava happened in Gan Eden, but Adam, Vayasam sham es ha'adam asher yotzar. He took the man which he created, and which is important, by the way, because don't forget, always keep in mind when you're learning these psukim, that Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya, for Elamais. Here it's Vayotzar as ha'adam asher yotzar. Very important that he created a Yitzira. Now the Torah says in Pasuk Tes, "Vayatzmach Hashem Elokim min ha'adama." Hashem made grow out from the ground kol eitz nechmad lamara v'toiv lamachal, a beautiful garden of fruit trees. The Etz Chaim b'toich hagan, and there was an Etz Chaim. The Etz Hadas toiv v'ra. So outstanding in this garden of everything you could imagine, right? Coconuts, pomegranates, whatever. Outstanding in this garden was the Etz Chaim b'toich hagan. The Etz Hadas tov v'ra. Were two trees. The Etz Chaim, which was b'toch hagan. Now Rashi says, b'toch hagan was be'emtza hagan. Smack in the middle of the gan was the Etz Chaim. I don't know how much we think about the Etz Chaim. Smack in the middle of the gan, you had this big gan. I don't know how many meter meruba or how many acres it was, but we had this garden, and then smack in the middle of the garden, b'diuk, in the nucleus of the garden, was the Etz Chaim. The Etz Hadas toiv v'ra, and the Mefarshim explain that the Etz Hadas was not in the middle. This was in the middle. Etz Hadas was to the side, and somehow that's significant that it was exactly in the middle. Rashi sees it's important to explain what does it mean b'toich hagan. So b'toich hagan means be'emsa hagan. And then the Torah tells about the rivers that were in Gan Eden. And then it talks about the chet, the creation of woman, right? Connected. That was already in Gan Eden. That was not on the outside. And then Adam did the chet, eventually. And then the Torah says in Revi, after the chet, Vayomer Hashem Elokim. Now Hashem said to who? To himself. It doesn't say he said it to somebody. Vayomer Hashem Elokim. Hein ha'adam haya ka'achad mimenu ladas toiv v'ra. Now that man ate from the Etz Hadas, and he came ka'achad mimenu. Now we have a problem. Pen yishlach yadoi v'lokach gam me'etz Chaim. Now the next thing you're going to do, next thing is going to happen here is he's going to walk over to the Etz Chaim and eat from the Etz Chaim. V'ochal, he's going to eat it v'chai lo'olam. And now he's going to live forever if he eats from the Etz Chaim. Vayishalchehu, says the Torah, Vayishalchehu Hashem Elokim min Gan Eden. So because of that, and it was only because of that Hashem threw us out of Gan Eden. Lavidus Adama Asher Lukach Misham, to work the land. Vayigoresh Adam Vayashken Mikedem L'Gan Eden as Hakruvim Veslahat Acherev HaMisapeches. And then he put there too, Rashi says, Malachi Chabola, and the spinning sword, Lishmar Derech Etz Chaim. And their purpose of these malachim and the total guards of and stopping us from entering Gan Eden was not it's a chiddush here. It's not because we shouldn't be in Gan Eden, because the next thing you know, he's going to go and eat from the Etz Chaim b'chai lo'olam. And so what? So the Kipshuta, you could say that that's going to be a problem because he just had a gzeira of Misa, Adam and Chava. Until now, he would have lived forever. But now he's thrown out of Gan Eden. He's not going to live forever. We're going to die. People die. Some earlier than others, but we all die. So Hashem put these angels at the Pesach of Gan Eden, Lishmar as Derech Etz Chaim, to stop the path. It was a machsum, to stop the path of man going back into the middle of the garden and to eat from the Etz Chaim, Lishmar as Derech Etz Chaim. Why? And we refer back to Sheni, because if we would eat from the Etz Chaim, which probably we should have chopped the rind and done that right away. Adam should have eaten from the Etz Chaim instead of eating from the Etz Hadas. And there would be no death in this world.
It sounds like that even without eating from the Etz Chaim, if we wouldn't have eaten from the Eitz Hadas, man would have lived forever anyway.
Right.
Likesha to whether he ate. So what?
It's a shtickle stira, but the chiddush here is, and this is Pshutei Shel Mikra, by the way. I'm not telling you anything which is not Pshutei Shel Mikra. The chiddush is, even after we ate from the Eitz Hadas, even if that, and after the Eitz Hadas, we could have still been Chai L'Olam if we would have quickly gone and chapped the fruit of the Etz Chaim. And like, in other words, that was built in. You can't be soiser the Etz Chaim. If you eat from the Etz Chaim, you're going to be Chai L'Olam. Now that there was a Knas and Misa in the world, and we can't live forever, so Hashem had to put Malachim to guard us out of the God.
It says in most Tamos, if you eat from Eitz Hadas, so how do you reconcile that with that?
That's a separate question. Meaning, if you're going to eat, so once, in other words, that was where the Knas of Misa came. You mean, but there would have been an antidote to that pasuk, but there wasn't an antidote because Hashem throws out of Gan Eden quickly. But listen, here's what I want to dwell on for a minute. Like, what was this Etz Chaim, and why do we never talk? Everything I told you is right in the psukim. So what was this Etz Chaim that we could have lived forever, even despite the chet of the Eitz Hadas? So the Zohar Ala Makom tells us, actually, the lashon here. One second, please. I'll read you the lashon. Here, the Zohar is in Bereshis Tav Chaf Hey. Reb Abba Omar, Lama Kasuv ve'etz hachayim b'toich hagan ve'etz hadas toiv v'ra, haloi etz hadas enoi be'emtza hagan. Right? Why are they putting the two together? Meaning the Etz Chaim was in the middle of the Gan, and the Eitz Hadas was at some other location in the Gan. So he says, Etz Chaim hu be'emtza hagan mamish. This is the lashon Zohar again in Hebrew. Koloimar, what is it? What is the significance? Rashi says this, that it was exactly b'toich hagan, exactly in the center of the Gan. What's the significance? Says the Zohar, hu bechinas kav emtzai. Okay, does that solve the mystery? Hashem created the world with the Or Ein Sof. And the Or Ein Sof comes into this world. Where it came into the world was exactly in the center, says the Zohar, of Gan Eden, where the Eitz Chaim was, and that was life. If you eat from that Eitz Chaim, you have life, Chai L'Olam, because it was the Kav Emtzai. Let me explain 101, Kav Emtzai. There is in the Kabbalah literature, there is the Kav Emtzai and the Or Hamakif. So probably you've seen the charts, not the charts of the spheres, but the charts with all the circles. Not in a human form, but in all the circles. So the way that works is that there's the Kav Emtzai, which penetrates through all the circles and gets exactly to the nucleus, Or Ein Sof, and from there comes the world. And then there's the Or Makif, that's the Or that goes around the world. I'm not saying the world, the globe, but the world, everything about the world, and penetrates into the nucleus through the seven spheres, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchus. I don't have to understand all this right this second. I just want to explain the chart. So the chart, if you can picture this in your mind, I don't have charts in front of me right now, but the way to understand it is there's the Kavam Soya of the Bria, Gan Eden, Etz Chaim B'toich Hagan. So the Zohar says, as opposed to the Or Makif, which gets now filtered through all kinds of things, Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod. It's we have to look at God in so many different ways, which I will explain in a minute because I want to make that a little bit clearer to you. So what's happening with the Etz Chaim is that this is a chance for life itself. Meaning, like Mamish, the Or Ein Sof, which is penetrating right to the world. It's the essence of life. If one can find the Etz Chaim, if one will be able to find the Etz Chaim, bingo, you're alive forever. Not just physically alive, right? You're part of the Bria, and that you're part of the Bria. There's no all the challenges, all the Yisurim, all the Nisyonos, all the things that we go through in life. If we eat the Etz Chaim, Hakol Tov, Kol Beseder. That was not the Gzeres Hashem. So Hashem put us out of the Gan. And now what happens is we have to go penetrate. Yeah, what do you want to say, Gil?
I just wanted to ask, we find by Pinchas, who was Eliyahu, in the Ninotel Briti Shalom, then he lived forever.
So who are those people? 3 people live forever. Also says, by the way, Yaakov Avinu Loimes. So apparently there is a madrega to get to the place of V'chai Lo'olam, but it's not by being, whether it's Eliyahu Navi or Yaakov Avinu or the Etz Chaim or whoever it is, they're not getting there by eating a fruit in the middle of the garden. But they can reach, apparently, this place of V'chai Lo'olam. So, and by the way, it doesn't mean V'chai Lo'olam that you're living here. It doesn't mean you're living in Bet Shemesh or in Brooklyn. Like V'chai Lo'olam could mean something else altogether. So, everybody, these are things that we throw around. We have to stop and think about. We talk about Chayei Olam. Chayei Olam nota b'soicheinu, right? Chayei Olam. So Chayei Olam is Chai Lo Olam. Chai Lo Olam. So let me explain the following simple concept to understand. That if we would not have done the chet of the Eitz Hadas, and we would still be in Gan Eden, how does it work? Was niknas misa lo'olam by the Eitz Hadas, but in fact, we would have walked over to the Etz Chaim and we would have been chai lo'olam because that would have been the fountain of life. That would have been there. Yafeh. What happens with the eviction of Gan Eden? Now, not so easy, Mr. Adam and Chava. Not so easy for us. Now we have to penetrate. Now we have to work. Now we have to toil. Work our whole lives to be able to get to the Etz Chaim. That's called the Or Makif. I just, by I just want to tell you a regesh, which I'm not sure if it's founded in Sifrei Mekubalim or not. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it, but I say it anyway. That, we talk about 7 spheros. One of the ways to think about that, because what does that even mean? One of the ways to think about it is 7 challenges. One of the things that happened when we ate from the Eitz Hadas is suddenly we had free choice. We have free choice. Suddenly we have Yetzer Hara and Yetzer Atov inside of us. It's suddenly like we're torn about everything. We're challenged. Should I do this? Should I do that? This is going to be better for me. This is going to be harder for me. etc. Should I eat the donut or should I not eat the donut? Yetzer hara. This, every one of the seven spheros represents a challenge. And what I mean by that is like an assignment. The Avraham Avinu, midah of chesed, but he had asar in the sherdus. The chesed itself presented an assignment, like Hashem, I see Hashem as chesed. That's how I see. That's the keli that I'm saying. Hashem is chesed. Hashem created the world. He created the mihu bala bira. Wow, what a world! And then he said, "Bring your son to the Akedah." The chesed is challenged. Yitzchak is din. Din challenges emunah. How many millions of people have said, where was God during the Holocaust? The Zman of Din, where is God? The same place he was before, the same place he is after. But when Hashem is Behelem, or when there's a Midas Hadin in the world, kasher, no? It's hard to see. And this is Bechira Chavshis working on overtime, because, overdrive, because now you have to use your Bechira Chavshis to say, I found Hashem. You have to look for him. Hester upon him. And V'cheinu, with all of the spheres, Yosef was Midas HaYesod, challenged. Okay, Midas HaYesod means you're making a landing. You're going to become part of the earth. Challenged. Challenged with Eshes Potiphar, challenged and with his brothers. Coming down to earth, the landing has to be smooth. So that's the hardest part about flying, correct? So when you're really looking at it, you're looking at Zion Spheres as seven challenges to the human mind. All those challenges are when we're on the outside trying to get in, like all those circles, trying to get in. If we would be on the inside, there are no spheres. On the inside, there's the Etz Chaim. When we ate from the Etz Hadas or Hamakif, we got on the outside. So the Kavim Tzai, which was B'toich Hagan, mamish smack in the middle. So that was not where we could just go over to the middle of the Gan. Let's take a bite of that. But it's something that we have to struggle for and work for our whole life and for all of history. A lot of people like the idea that we ate from the Eitz Hadas because we otherwise would be robotic or something. We just live Chai Lo'olam. But the Chai Lo'olam leans like something. Sometimes something is you just get it, you just see it. I mean, maybe we have a Chai Lo'olam experience once in a while, a Chai Lo'olam moment where everything is 100% clear. And this is an eternal thing that I'm just experiencing right now. I'm not talking like a kook. I'm just saying like everybody has such an experience, this type of epiphany, if you will. It's a moment of awe. It's a moment of Etz Chaim. Otherwise, you got to work to get there through the Zion spheres. How do you work to get through the Zion spheres? How do you work to get this awe? So that's through Torah. The whole idea of Kuchabrichu v'araisa, Chadhu Yisrael v'Kuchabrichu v'araisa, Miskashrin da b'da, are all mekushar. The whole idea is that by learning Torah, we can also, that's also called an Etz Chaim. And that's what the Zohar says in the Nefesh Hachaim here. Torah is also called an Etz Chaim, and Shlomo HaMelech said Etz Chaim hi l'machazikim ba v'samcha b'ushar. It's not just a mashal. It's Torah is an Etz Chaim, but what's the difference? It's not the easy road. It's not the road which is you're just there. We're just there. We're in Gan Eden. It's a road which requires penetration from sphere to sphere and sphere to sphere, going through all the challenges and finally getting to the place of Etz Chaim. And if we can get there, Etz Chaim hi l'machazikim ba. It becomes, in fact, a tree of life. And Yaakov Avinu lo meis. Yaakov Avinu lo meis. Finally, B'sof Yamav, as the Zohar says, in the last 17 years of his life, last 17 years of Yaakov Avinu's life, he was in a place of Etz Chaim. He was like in the middle of Gan Eden. But that was after Lavan and Esav and Yosef, all the different challenges which are seven spheros, penetrating them and finally getting to a place of Tov, Etz Chaim. That's where Yaakov Avinu ended up. So say Chazal.
Is it true? I mean, what Rabbi asked at the beginning about, with Yeshua, why is it that, Yeshua in the beginning coming into Eretz Yisrael? Is it true to say the Torah Midbar didn't want to make that effort? They were in effortless place, so they wanted to continue like that?
I want to say it differently a little bit, but thank you for bringing me back to what we're talking about. What happened, let's backtrack a little bit. Fast forward and backtrack. Before we came into Eretz Yisrael, when we left Mitzrayim, we got the Torah. Luchos Rishonos. Luchos Rishonos, it's clear to me, was a matzav at that moment. Everything that we know about the moment of Kabbalas HaTorah, when Hashem spoke to the people, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, was a bechina of Adam Arishon Koydem Achet, or the Tikkun. In my book Beginnings, the whole book is about this. The Tikkun of Matan Torah, Luchos Rishonos, was a Tikkun of Etz Chaim, Acham Etz Chaim. What do I mean? I mean that Hashem gave Moshe, this is what happened in history. It was unbelievable. What happened in history was that, okay, maybe the Golus is over. Maybe the Klala of Gan Eden is over. Here's the Torah, straightforward, Kavim Tzai, coming from Hashem to Moshe Rabbeinu, to the people. No, better, coming from Hashem to the people. Everything was it was 100% MS. It was just truth. You heard Hashem. And when we were chote with the Egel Hazav, once again we did the human thing, and we ate from the Eitz Hadas Tovera. And here we are, being evicted from that place of Kedusha, of the Kavim Tzoi, of the Etz Chaim, being evicted from that and being put into this outside place, which let's call for this moment, Luchos Shniyos. Luchos Shniyos came after a lot of work on Moshe Rabbeinu's part, a lot of advocacy. I presume a lot of tshuva on the part of Klal Yisrael. But deeper than that, the Luchos Shniyos did not have the miracles. They didn't have all the benefits. They didn't have the mem and the samach benes v'nira mishnei Avraham. You didn't have that in the Luchos Shniyos. And in the words of Chazal, Luchos Shniyos, I mentioned this last week, was the foundation of Torah Shabbal Peh. What does that mean? That somewhere in there it said Rav and Abaya, or a Papa, or a Chisda? No. What it means is the difference between the Luchos Rishonos and the Luchos Shniyos is the Luchos Rishonos required no amelos. Hey God, just give it to me straight. Just tell me. Luchos Shniyos means struggle. Torah Shabbal Peh means struggle. Is it this way? Is it that way? What exactly is the Messiah? What did Hillel mean? What did Shammai mean? What did Rebbe mean? Right? This is struggle that we're struggling with till today. Beautiful. It's a beautiful struggle. But it's not like here it is. Take it. Eat from the Etz Chaim and you've got it. Kach. No. It's struggle. This struggle, this struggle that we have is called Amelus B'Torah, but nevertheless, like nitna Torah, hear me out here very carefully because this is extremely important. Like nitna Torah ela lo echle haman. Yes, it says that in the Gemara. When we were eating Torah, we were eating man. Makasher Torah man. Man min hashamayim. We weren't planting any fields. We weren't fighting any wars. I mean, we were fighting wars, but we were winning them and protected with the Ananei HaKavod. Everything came to us from Shemayim. So, and by the way, right after the Luchas Shniyos, we should have gone right into Eretz Yisrael. It was only because of the Meraglim. Another week we would have been in Eretz Yisrael. So we were the Oichle Aman. We were weaned off very slowly, as it worked out, because of the Meraglim. We were weaned off very slowly. This situation of everything falling from Hashem to the situation of going into Eretz Yisrael. It's not that Eretz Yisrael is a lower place than the Midbar, Chas v'shalom. That's not what it means. But what it means is that here now we really have access. You're looking at this is not real life, the Midbar. Now we have access to the Etz Chaim once again. How? So says the Pasuk, or Nefesh Hachaim, L'azos nitztavenu ba'azhara naira mipiv yisparach. This is an unbelievable thing that Hashem said to Yehoshua bin Nun. You just entered Eretz Yisrael. Now what? Now you can do the tikkun. And how are you going to do the tikkun and get back into Gan Eden? Ka'adam lifnei achet, kibnei Yisrael lifnei ha'egel. How are you going to get this? The answer is, Lo yamush sefer ha'Torah hazeh mipicha v'higisa bai v'higisa bai, and you'll work in it and you'll toil it. Yoimam v'layla.
Could the same apply to Beit Rishon, Beit Sheni?
Similarly, meaning it's a similar thing. As the Svarim say, Sarusa de La'ela, Sarusa de Lasata. But you see, it was all a process. It was all a process. The process of Golos. It's all the hard way in, and now we have to go through. Bais Rishon, Bais Sheni, the Hanukkah story. It's a struggle, yeah. Golos, Hadrian decrees, Golos. But the idea is we're all trying to get back in. We're all trying to get back in. Okay, we're here in Eretz Yisrael, Baruch Hashem. Those of us that are here in Eretz Yisrael, we're lucky. We're here in Eretz Yisrael. Let's do the tikkun. Are we back in Gan Eden? No, still got to plant the fields, but what the point is that this is what Hashem said to Yeshua: the ikar way to get back to the or, to the kavim soy of Etz Chaim b'toich Hagan, is through limud Torah, because Yisrael v'iraisa and the or v'kudsha brichu chadhu. So this is how we can get back to the main pipe and the main mayan of life. Yaakov Avinu did this, Eliyahu Navi did this. Tzadikim b'misasam nikraim chayim. And when we say v'chaye olam nata b'soichenu, when do we say that? We talk about limud Torah. Well, we're saying, okay, boy, now we have the chance. You could be omel in so many different things in this life. And we have to, because we were evicted from Gan Eden. But hold on to the Etz Chaim. That's what he's saying over here. Hold on to the Etz Chaim. Don't get distracted from the Etz Chaim, because this is your ticket to the Emsa Hagan. And this is your ticket to life itself. And this is the ticket to Olam Haba, meaning Olam Haba is Lenetzach. So you could start here, and Yaakov Avinu lo meis, but the Gemara already says, what do you mean lo meis? They buried him. Right? What did they go through the whole Levaya for if he didn't die? The answer is, of course he died. Of course he died. But the shot is that he was. Eliyahu Navi says, Allah Eliyahu Navi says, Allah Chai. Not that he didn't die. He went alive to Shemayim. meaning continue. Chayei olam. We don't want to do that. Chayei olam, not b'seichenu. That's the goal. But the point for my purposes is that we have to. It's like spheros is a metzius of the way the world is. There's chesed, there's gevura, there's tiferes. So I want to just say a word about spheros before we end here. Like the Etz Chaim, that's the Rav Chaim Vital. So Talmud of the Arizal. So he gives a mashal to understand the sphere is just the idea. What does it even mean? And he says that, like, you take water, which is a mashal, you take water, which is perfectly clear, mayim tzlulim, and you put it in a glass, which is perfectly clear, and you see something perfectly clear. You can see right through it. But if you put it in a red cup, the water appears to be red. If you put it in a blue cup, it appears to be blue, etc. You understand the seven spheres have seven colors. Gavanim. The water, as he points out, is clear, whether it's in this keli or whether it's in that keli. The water has no shinui. It's not mashpia, the water, but it's mashpia on our ability to translate that into human experience. To us, it looks red. To us, it looks blue. So you can look at the Or Hashem. If you get it, Bem Sahagan, Kav Yasher, there's no chesed, there's no gvur, there's no, you're straight. So it's monocular or colorless. If you're Vayigarsheyu Migan Eden, and now you're going through, and that's why I said before, I think Zion spheres, if I'm allowed to say, are seven challenges to the ability of seeing Hashem. Can I see the Hashem when there's din? Can I see Hashem when there's netzach, when there's hoid, yisoid? It's when we see Hashem with malchus, that's after going through all the Zion spheres. So, now we see Hashem, we see Mashiach. We see a geula. But right now what we're seeing, everybody in their life, is red and blue and green and all these different things. And it's hard to know the actual color of the or. That it's true anyways that or doesn't have a color, only what it reflects. So the only way to be able to interpret and translate the human experience and not be distracted by all the colors and think, well, maybe it's this and maybe it's that, maybe it's Avodah Zarah, and maybe these guys are right, maybe those guys are right. The only way to translate that correctly is with the Or of Torah. But this is the struggle. So Hashem says to Yoshua bin Nun, I'm telling you what to do. And later on he says, Atabasi. You're like, what's with the, why are you even being Masiach Das from the Torah? The Torah doesn't Rav and Abaye, but by seeing things clearly with the Or Hashem through the human struggle of Bechira Chavshis. And hence he tells us, and being that we're not going to do this inside, if you skip a paragraph, Etz Chaim that at this point, the Torah is called the Etz Chaim, so it's not just a pretty song we sing when we put the Torah away. Etz Chaim we're looking at the Torah, and we're saying, as we're putting it away, we're saying, yeah, but we're putting it away, but we're still part of this. This is still part of us. Etz Chaim you have to hold on to this for dear life. This is what he explains. And his famous example that, if you're ready to fall off of Niagara Falls, and there's a tree there, you're holding on to that tree for dear life. Etz Chaim hilama chazikim ba. That's the only thing that's going to say. But what it means is that's how we're going to get through this with Torah to get into the Toy Chagan. Okay, I'll stop here because I'm over time. I wish everybody.
But was that the Gisa that was told to Yeshua? Was that to plug them back into, or is that for us also?
to always, the Tzivoy was for Klal Yisrael. As I said, the whole Hilchos Talmud Torah is based on the pasuk of Yigisa B'Yom V'Layla, the pasuk in Yeshua. It wasn't. Let me just clarify here, Rabbi Yaacov. It was not given to. It was not given to Moshe Rabbeinu because Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't in this bechina of Yigisa B'Yom V'Layla. Moshe Rabbeinu received the Torah. He was in the bechina of Torah Shebiksav. And the Or Elyon, which is the Toich Hagad, that's where Moshe Rabbeinu got. And therefore, by the way, Chai Lo'elam, what's the significance? You always wonder about this, like the end of the Chumash that Moshe Rabbeinu, like Leinas Leicha, he didn't get old, he didn't learn. Like he was also like Anavi, you know, Ish Leyadas Kvarase Adayim, meaning that the significance of it was that it was he was with the Etz Chaim itself, the one that was in Gan Eden. We're getting to the Etz Chaim through Yigisa B'Yom V'Layla. Okay, we'll make the Siyum Amir Hashem is not a real Siyum, so for homework, read the rest of the book. And the Mir Hashem will make a Siyum on Motzei Shabbos. Freilich and Chanukah.
Beth and Chanukah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sure.
By the way, next week we'll learn. Amir Hashem will start Tzidkas HaTzadik.
Thank you very much.